Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have a video for you of a bunch of new purchases I picked up in Denver, and a lot of things to look at here and talk about. First, some rules of engagement. I'm going to talk about not so much about pricing. We'll talk a little bit about grading and what we're looking at. Second, if you see these tags on them, none of the tags on these coins are my tags. They're all from somebody else. Lastly, for the rules of engagement here. Let me know what you think I should crack or cross, okay? Because I'll tell you what, a lot of these coins that I picked up are old Annex holders, the old soapbox holders, and I find these to be a real mixed bag when I get them in. But I can tell you right away, the first coin that I grabbed here is graded at a 65, and it's really quite stunning. And I'm guessing that I'll probably go ahead and do some cracking and some crossing. So on these, and a lot of the mid-century modern stuff, I'll have to check because this is actually a variety, the S over S variety. And this coin reminds me a little bit about a coin I had one time that I fell in love with a girl and fell in love with a coin, and it was pretty incredible. This is an S over S. This coin also appears to be full torch lines. So those lines that are across the torch at the top and the bottom. Now, one of the things about the old soapboxes that you should be aware of is some of them don't have any type of note on a full torch band, the full torches. So that's something for those of you who like to cherry pick, you can look for. All right. Also, the same is true. There's a certain time period when people weren't really looking for cameos. And so you can find old holders that don't say cameo, that maybe the coin is a cameo. And it can be to your advantage if you're a cherry picker out there. This 1859 cent, really cool coin. It's got a little bit of some, what would we call that? The planchet itself has some imperfections in it, especially right above the date in the 5.9. You see how the 9 looks a little crinkly? That's planchet flaws in the coin, in the planchet itself. Nice AU55 coin, has a little bit of luster to it. All in all, a really cool coin. So I bought a bunch of this stuff at Denver, a lot of it all from one guy, but some of it from somebody else. And like I said, a lot of the soapboxes are really pretty coins, and a lot of them will just sell as is. This 1919 penny, beautiful coin, and MS65 red brown. The other thing that I want to point out here is the color. So these soapboxes are at least 20 years old. Some of them are probably, let me see, what year are we in? I have to think to the year. These are at least 25 years old, actually, if I'm doing the math right. And so I want you to look at the color on the pennies. That's one of the other things that I want you to look at and pay attention to, because we've had discussions lately about whether or not pennies change color. And of course the answer is, well, they do, but it has a lot to do with how they're housed, where they're housed, and probably what if they had any environmental contact with something before they were put in a holder. So if you're in a really high humidity area, or high heat area, you can have it happen too. So you've got to think about that when it comes to the storage. But a lot of the pennies are not as bad as people think they are. Okay, so crack, cross, keep. What are you going to do on this coin here? Once again, like I said, a number of these coins I thought were really nice for the grade. MS65 and this 1940S. Let's look again and see if it's a full band or not. It is not a full band. You see how the band has lines at both sides, that center band. So the other bands have to be full also, but really, it's the center band is the one that's always weak. And just a stunning coin all around, pretty. So as an example of a coin that is possibly a cameo, someone wrote cameo on this one, but is not written down on the label, this old NGC Fatty, Proof 68. Obverse is definitely a cameo. The reverse, there's that toning on there, and it becomes very hard to tell, whether or not you'd call it a cameo, because that toning disrupts any of the black and white treatment that you want to see for a cameo. Let's stay with the quarter theme for now, 1942. Hey man, some of these coins, I'm laughing to myself because I'm just looking at this 42S, which is a better date. And I'm seeing a coin that's really, really lovely in front of me. And go ahead. I mean, what it's hard for me to describe sometimes what a really original coin looks like. Just really original. MS64, I mean, that's a coin that maybe we'll play with. Maybe y'all can play with it. I'm not gonna. I don't really send as many coins off to crack and cross and stuff as people think. It's just that we get videos going on. This is actually labeled as a double die obverse 59. I'm not familiar with the variety offhand. Let's see if we can see some doubling here. Oh yeah. Well, it could be my vision. It looks like the In God We Trust is where the doubling was, because I could see some a little bit at an angle. Proof 66. So usually when people talk about cracking or crossing coins, there's a value proposition as far as whether or not you think the coin is more saleable in another holder than the one it is. I want to make the argument to John Albanese and the crew at CAC that they should really start putting stickers on Annex soapboxes. Maybe they don't want to put a sticker on all of the coins, the modern ones, but I think that they should, because coins like these, I think, I don't know, there's a numismatic historical thing going on here, because I don't want to crack these coins out that are undergraded by 1 or 2 points. I want to keep them in the holder, and I want them to have the value of something that's much nicer than what the holder says, which is, if I just kept things that I liked all the time, coins like this, that Mercury dime that was real pretty, you would see me keeping a lot of that type of stuff. All right, so let's talk about grading a little bit here. So this 1927 peace dollar, which is really lustrous, but it has a lot of little like white flecks on it. See, at that angle, you can see all the little white flecks popping up. So if you're just looking at a coin like this from that bright angle and all you see is, oh, look at the luster, look at the luster. Okay, now let's get it at the angle where the light, it's like the little abrasions pop up because the light creates shadows. And not the shadow and bone, which some of you may or may not heard or seen, but MS61, but the shadow and light that is created when you turn the coin at the proper angles. I like this grade on this coin because it's a really nice lustrous coin, and yet it has those scuffs that are kind of, they're just really noticeable, right? They're kind of deep, and that's without putting any type of loop on it. And then you can see how much those scuffs really affect the coin overall, right? So it has some little scuffiness. So Mint State 61 on that peace dollar. Kind of a neat coin. Next up, talking grading, we've got 2 different walkers to show to you in 1946 from the Denver Mint, and then this 1946 from the Philadelphia Mint. And so sometimes when I talk about full luster on a coin, if you haven't really seen the difference, it's hard to tell. So I'm going to try to describe it here a little bit. Let's look at the open fields on either side of Liberty on this, because usually people look at the top of the high points to see where, which is correct. You should do that too. But I just want to focus on the way the luster flows in this open field here, and then in this open field here, right? And there's going to be marks and contact marks. That's natural. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the way the light flows and the luster flows on the coin. Now let's look at this coin and see how it flows, and there's just a little bit of a dullness to those areas that the other coin had really bright, but you can almost kind of see in between the sun rays and then over in this field here where you don't have quite the same level of brightness. And you'll actually see the same. I know I didn't look at the other coin over there, but sometimes we need to back out to kind of get the better view. Sometimes the long view is what's important here. When you talk about the way the coin's lusters flow on these coins, at the same coin, same angle. Let's slow down the turn there, Ben. Look in front of the eagle's head. Eagle's head, right? Just look at the difference between what you're seeing pop in front of the eagle's head when I do this. You see how you see the luster continue to flow in the word united on both coins, but between the E pluribus and the beak on the bird, there's just dullness there. So this is an AU58 and this is an MS63. AU58 to UNC is the hardest grade for new graders, new collectors to determine, and I hope that helps you a little bit. Okay, so next up, another penny to look at and say, hey, how's the color holding up? How is the color holding up on this coin? Are there any spots? This is actually a variety also, the 46S over S. Really lovely coin. Beautiful color, redness. They call it a full red. What did it look like 30 years ago? I don't know. Are those little spots that appear to be kind of white-ish? Were those there? I also don't know that. So the hard part is when you want to collect pennies for 30 or 40 years, you kind of have to know what the coin first looked like before you got it, right? So once again, same thing here, this 1951 proof penny, which was also graded red, 65 red. Really nice coin. And you see just that little bit of color just changing right there by the L in Liberty and on the edges. Of course, nowadays you put that in a true view and you call it toning and people go go bananas. Go bananas for it. I almost said they go ape, but I don't know. I think that means the same thing. There you go, this 1936 coin also had a full red color to it. And I'm talking just about on the label. And whether or not you'd call it full red today or not. By the way, look at the coin, really pretty. Also a little bit on that old school, what I would call old school conservative style of grading. Next up, I got a couple of real fun coins here in just off-brand holders, which I find cool stuff, especially if it's the older stuff, like the way this label is printed, you know, and perforated labels. I mean, you can kind of just feel the age. And for those of you who aren't old enough, you know, that was how they used to do it. Independent grading service. Easy enough for you to say we are no way deemed liable under any guarantee or warranties expressed or implied because of subjectivity in grading and other variables such as storing, mishandling, tampering, etc. IGC will not be held accountable. Well, at least they're saying it like it is. Nice MS64 coin. For those of you who are collecting the old holders, now these old holders I always liked. I thought the holders were lots of fun. Similar in size and dimension to the soapbox. Some of you already know what this holder is. Others may have never seen these. But we'll look at a coin that I can't really fully get a good video of, in my opinion. We'll see. But it has some toning over the top. But in person, it's like really, really lustrous and has a cool eye appeal. If you like that type of old school crusty toning, this is AccuGrade since 1984, 43p, MS67 nickel. What do you do with a coin like that? I mean, I don't even know. You sell it, I guess. You keep it in the holder for someone who collects this type of stuff. I need to create a company that grades holders. Don't tell me that already exists. I hear you. I'm not talking about the coin, just the holder. A little bit different. Talking about old holders, 1921 peace dollar. Also, old crusty coin, but a pretty crusty coin, MS63 and an old PCGS. What is this, Gen 2 holder, Gen 3? I don't know my generations on these. I don't have memorized. I always get them mixed up. Gen 4, nice coin. How different is that from this holder? These are probably a little bit different, right? This peace dollar, it strikes me, would be an older holder based on the way that it's printed. This is 23S, they called a 62, which, by the way, is really stunning, but it's got that Scarface issue. You know, you know what, if I just make that a VAM, then everybody won it. But really, really, it's a shame on that, though, because the rest of the coin has a lot of good stuff going on. Just that's really a great looking reverse. Of course, you got a bigger contact mark over here above the 1, but still the rest of the coin is really nice. These 23 S's come really flatly struck. so the hair design is never really strong on those. That's a neat coin. Here's one more. I got one more older holder, and you can just kind of get a feel for the different holders here. This old PCGS 1959 Proof 66 holder. Nice coin. See, if you're grading the holder, you get to decide like how intact is the label there, right? You know what? Is that a cameo? Okay. All right, and let me show you a few more coins here before I fall asleep, or you fall asleep. Let me drop some coins. This is a cool coin, actually, 1884. A little bit tougher date, really nice luster. All around a really interesting coin because it has, you got to turn it at the right angle to see, it has just a touch of wear to it. In fact, the camera's deceiving on this because it's not showing up. AU58, it does look new at certain angles, but when I have it in person, and I have it in person with the loop on it, I can see that it has just the slightest bit of wear to it. But it's really, I'm having a hard time capturing that. All right, a couple more interesting coins here because I had to get this 83cc in here because it's an older annex holder with a little bit of color going on. So this one, I think I'll probably just sell this as is. I hate cracking these things out. MS65, it's probably worth MS65 money either way because the toning, so it's a common date. There's not huge jumps on it. I think someone will buy that as a 65 all day. Now here's where it gets interesting, right? So you get an older coin, a 93cc, in a tougher grade. This is where people start wondering, whether you want the coin in the holder or not. Nice VF35 coin. Some people will call this very original. Others will say, well, it's too light. It's been cleaned. I think it's a pretty decent coin all around. I understand people looking at coins like this and calling them clean, but it actually looks like it had been in an album for a long time because there's almost like some lines on the back, and it's a little darker on the back than the front. That's like from an old Whitman album when you see that disparity of color from one side to the next. Let's see what we can do. Last but not least, I got a couple more of these really beautiful quarters to show to you. If I end a sentence on a preposition, I'll get yelled at by some of y'all. But hey, I know where it's at. Let's just put it that way. All right, 1936 MS65. Stunning coin, crack, cross, keep, and another one that's 34 Philly, which is a really pretty coin also. I do think that the 36 looks nicer, but at a 63 pace, there's just not a whole lot of contact or anything going on in this coin to call it a 63. And speaking of coins changing color, I just wonder a little bit how white were those coins before when they originally holded. Okay, one last coin. I lied because I have this 1922. It actually looks like a 22 Philly almost because there's actually a really strong strike on that hairline, but that flatness will tell you right away this is a 22S. And this is an older NGC fatty holder. A lot of toning on that. Nowadays I send this coin in, y'all know how it's coming back. We're just going to roll with it and let it stay in this holder, of course. MS63. Nice coin. Real pretty coin. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. I've been the Coin Geek. You can subscribe. You can leave your comments. You can hit like and help out that algorithm. Thanks so much.